Alrighty, so we've got our playlist situated. We have our myofascial release balls, or little rubber balls, tennis balls, a couple of blocks, some blankets, pillows, and something cozy maybe to sit on. So if that isn't a blanket for you, if it's something else, then you can get yourself situated on that. And first off, hello. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you have had some time today to kind of explore potentially the nice weather. Maybe you're having some nice weather. We are over here in Seattle, that's for sure. And whatever you've done with your day, I encourage you just to kind of do what you can to shake it off. Give yourself a moment to just become really present with this moment, this space, the start of this practice. And that's actually part of what I love so much about the candlelit yoga practice is this ritual of kind of setting the scene, you know, getting your candles lit and getting all your props ready and just that sense of ritual behind it. So if you had a moment to kind of settle your space in, it's now time for you to settle your body in. So just find a nice comfortable seat. Give yourself a moment to just really feel your physical body, the shape that your body's in. Maybe that requires you to kind of move around to wake up certain areas of your body or certain places for sensation. And when you land, just invite whatever heaviness, whatever gravity's pull is inviting to press down into the earth. Let it really just take over. Let it sink you deeper in your seat, in your feet. Maybe even that weight of your spine kind of dropping down a little bit towards the earth. When you start to allow yourself to feel grounded, to settle into your body and your body's sensations, can you tap into like a deeper layer? And perhaps that deeper layer is your breath. Perhaps that deeper layer is a feeling, a sensation, sort of a general theme that you might be feeling throughout your day, or maybe just in this moment. And you're just going to keep breathing into whatever that deeper layer is taking you into. Just breathing into it, sensing that you can invite a little bit of height through the crown of your head, a little bit of softness into your face. Maybe just encouraging your height up on the inhale and then just this softening on your exhale. Just take a few more rounds like this, settling more into our body, more into those deeper layers. So let's just take one last full breath here. Now when you're ready, you can either gently open the windows of your eyes, or you can just bring your fingers, your pads of your finger over to your collarbone. Just sense where your collarbone is on your body. And you're just going to start lightly tapping right beneath your collarbone. Maybe that's closer towards your throat, a little bit down towards your sternum. Just sense what feels good. Follow that sensation of kind of awakening this area of your body. And we'll just take a few breaths here, just gently tapping. Maybe guiding your breath into the space that you're tapping, or maybe just deep into your belly. One last big breath. And then we're just going to guide this tapping up to our jaw space. It's really nice light tapping, little finger taps. You can play it like a piano, just every finger working on a different tempo, or all your fingers tapping together. And take a few more big breaths at your jaw, crown of your head tall. And then you can just bring your chin in towards your chest. Slowly start to tap on your forehead. And I like to bring it down towards the ridge of my eyes, my eyebrow ridge here. And just let the weight of the back of your head drop a little bit. Take a couple big full breaths. Last big breath here. Awesome. Then release the tapping. Give yourself a moment just to sit upright. Maybe shake your head out a little bit. Breathe deeply. Then we're just going to guide ourselves to bring our right foot into our hands. So shift your right foot into your hands. You're just going to kind of maneuver your foot around a little bit. So you can bring the bottom of your foot, the sole of your foot, into your lap if you want, and give a little manual manipulation here, a little self-massage. Just sense what it feels like in the different areas of your foot, the different terrain. Connect yourself with these grounding tools, your feet. And then we're just going to flip our feet a little away from us so we can access our toes. And we're going to slowly start to bring our fingers in between our toe spaces. You can start with your pinky finger being right in between your pinky and the next toe, and then slowly just interlacing your fingers together. And once you created that little wedge, that little space between, you can just start to curl your toes under, kind of grasping your fingers, and then open your toes out wide, flex your toes back towards your shins, and then flex them under. Just give a couple squeezes here, just opening up the bones of your feet. Nice. And if you notice that you start to open things up a little bit, you create little pockets of freedom there, then you can slowly start to wedge the webbing of your hands in towards the webbing of your feet. And if that feels like sci-fi to you, you can just chill out where you are and take some nice big breaths. Awesome. And then you can release your fingers, give your foot a moment. Wiggle your toes. You can point and flex your feet. And we'll just come over to the opposite foot. So this foot, again, we're just going to go ahead and manipulate the bottom of the foot here, the sole of the foot. And get into the tissues. See if you can do this without clenching your jaw or creating any tightness in your shoulders, but just being really relaxed. Being gentle and sweet to your feet. And then whenever you're ready, you're just going to place your foot out away from you a bit so you can do that interlacing with your fingers. Again, the pinky finger right next to the pinky toe, just slowly starting to interlace them in. And once you get into a place where there's a little bit of a stretch, just go ahead and curl your toes under and open it up. This isn't always necessarily a pleasant sensation to feel, but the end result normally is pretty pleasant. So that's a light at the end of the tunnel if you need one. Take another couple big breaths and just create that little flexion and extension of your toes. Again, if you feel little opportunities to wiggle a little bit deeper in, you want to take them, take them. Nice, we'll just take one last full breath here, squeezing in and releasing. Awesome, you can release your fingers out, again, wiggle your toes, point, flex, make little circles. Awesome. And then this is where we're going to grab one of our myofascial release balls, tennis ball, or even a can of soup would work. And we're just going to come up to our feet, up to standing. You really just need one ball for this. So we'll go ahead and start on the right foot. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to ground my heel down and bring the ball to the base of my toes. I'm just going to strum a little side to side along that ridge. So we already opened up those bones a little bit manually with our fingers. But now we're just going to let the weight of our body press down. I'm bending a little bit in my knee, kind of dragging my weight down into the earth and just swaying a little side to side. And our tendency is to look down at our feet. But see if you can just guide your head into a nice neutral position, gazing somewhere on the horizon. And inviting some nice full breaths. Awesome. And then we're just going to slowly start to roll the ball more towards the arch. So as you feel this, you may want to strum a little side to side. You may notice that that's a little too intense to start with. Most of our arches are a little bit more sensational areas of our foot. So if that's the case, you can just invite little pulses of compression, pressing down, lifting off, pressing down, lifting off. Just slowly shifting the ball a little bit to the outside or the inside of your foot. And again, just inviting yourself into these gentle compressions. Your gaze is nice and neutral, your jaw is relaxed. Let's just take one last full breath here. Awesome. Now we're just going to roll the ball down towards our heel. So not directly on our heel, but where the heel or the arch and the heel meet there. So you'll just ground your toes down. And it's like your ball is like a little high heel for you, okay? So it's kind of resting right in that spot. And again, you can just kind of swish side to side. Give yourself some time just to navigate that little connection. And for those of us that deal with plantar fasciitis, this is an insertion point for your fascia of your foot, your plantar fascia. So this can be something that can kind of awaken some interesting sensations and release that deep fascia there. Take another moment, just breathing, shoulders are soft, relaxed. Nice. Then you can release off of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to hone in on 3 different lines of our foot. So this center line here, the center of our foot, and then the outer ridge. And we're going to press down at the base of our foot where we started and add some compression and then just roll all the way down to your heels, maintaining that consistent pressure, rolling off, coming towards the center, pressing in, rolling through the length of your foot. Again, maybe now you're coming out to the outer edge. Trying to keep the pressure as consistent as possible so you can really navigate through the terrain, the bones, the connective tissue, and sense those areas that might be a little bit heightened in sensation. And now's your chance just to explore that area or those areas, wherever you're feeling that there's a little bit more to work with. Be creative, take a couple breaths just to shift and move and explore. We'll take one last big breath. Awesome. And you can shift off of the ball and give yourself a moment just in a standing posture. You can even close your eyes. You don't have to look at your feet. But just sense what one foot feels like in comparison to the other. So as I'm standing here, if I were to, let's say, draw each of my feet, one foot might look really fluffy. One foot might feel like more of the surface area is connected to the ground. What differences do you feel from side to side? And then we're just going to roll ourselves down. So you can bring your chin in towards your chest, be soft, buoyant in your knees, and we're just going to let the weight of our head and our arms here just kind of roll us all the way down. Be nice and slow about it. And when you come into this little ragdoll pose at the end, when you found you're hinged at the hips as deeply as you can hold on to opposite elbows if you'd like, or just keep your hands grounded, just sway side to side, front to back. And again, maybe you notice a difference not only in your feet, but in the length of your legs, the back of your head, your back itself. And if you notice a difference from side to side, just pay attention to that. Take another big breath. Awesome. And then you can ground in your feet, lower your seat down a little bit, uncurl. Again, head and limbs will be the last things to kind of follow the regular standing shape, and then we'll just come to the opposite side. So here we are on the opposite foot. Again, we're going to start at the base of the toes. You can press down, kind of strum along the bones and the connective tissue here, and just invite your foot to kind of widen, to expand. And what does it feel like just to take some nice full breaths, to have your head and neck and shoulders in a nice relaxed place? Take another breath or so here. Just inviting a nice steady pressure. And then when you're ready, we'll move towards the arch. And again, this can be a little bit more intense. So if you want to start by just inviting those pulses, those gentle pulses down into the ball and relieving it off. That could be a nice way to introduce the pressure to this sort of arched area. If you've warmed it up and you want to strum a little side to side, feel free, explore the arch. Take a couple big breaths. Nice. And can you be relaxed in your jaw? Relaxed in your breath. Let's take one last full breath here. And then we're going to go ahead and shift the ball again to that heel space. So guide your ball to that heel space. You can use a compression technique. You can kind of sweep the ball side to side. Again, inviting a healthy amount of pressure so my knees are bent so I can feel nice and controlled and shift my weight left and right. Guide myself into a little bit of movement, a little bit of freedom here. We'll just take another big breath. And then go ahead and set yourself off of that. We're going to start at the base of the toes. And again, just roll down the length of our foot in one solid compression. And then roll off. And then come back up to the base of the toes. Roll all the way down to the heel. Lift off. Just kind of navigate that entire terrain on the bottom of your foot. Just exploring what it's like to kind of iron it all out. Nice. Notice where your gaze is. Notice your shoulders, your breath. And for these last couple rounds of breath, just really draw your attention to whatever sensations you're finding here. And notice if it's helpful, do the sensations feel good? Or if they feel a little too intense, you can always back off. Last big breath. Nice. And then go ahead and come off of your foot. Again, we're just gonna kind of rock side to side. Give yourself a moment to ground into your feet. Maybe you close your eyes again and just sense what both of your feet feel like. Do they feel a little bit more balanced? And then we're just gonna roll down again, chin coming in towards the chest, slowly dropping the head or just releasing the weight of the head down towards gravity, just giving the pull of gravity a little bit. And then gently starting to just let yourself come into this ragdoll shape. And once you find that shape, again, ground your hands if you'd like, or you can hold on to your elbows and just sway side to side, front and back, decompressing your upper body, but also sensing the weight distribution in your feet. And seeing if you can find a bit of softness, a bit of steadiness in your feet. Let's take one last big breath here. Awesome. If you're holding on your elbows, you can release them. Dip your knees down a little bit, your seat down, your head's going to hang heavy. Press into your feet. Slowly start to unfurl your spine. Your head will be the last thing to arrive. Awesome. Nice. Just sense how you feel here. We're going to do a couple little rolls, and we're just going to take our foot a little onto the top of the foot. So you can press into the top of the foot. My toes are flipped over. And from here, I might be a little soft to my knees to start, and then I'm going to straighten my knees a little bit. And then I'm just going to roll over onto the back and come a little bit onto the sole of the foot. So just keep rolling forward and back, just getting in the front line of the ankle, and then back into the heels, front line of the ankle, maybe dipping down a little bit, straighten, and then back. Nice. We'll come onto the other foot, coming onto the front. Again, straighten your leg, kind of straighten it all out, get that little tension line, bend a little bit, come back on your heels. Just sense what this feels like. We've got a lot of bones in the foot and the ankle that we're working with here, always, right? This is your chance to explore it a little bit and sense how you might be able to deepen your awareness. Let's do one last little push off, maybe straighten, bend, and then soften. Good, good. Now we're going to do the same rollout we were doing before. I'll scoot back a little bit more so you can see me a little bit more clearly. We're going to dip the chin down, and as we roll down, we're just going to be really nice and slow with it. So we've already introduced this movement into our bodies. Just allow your head to really be dangling here, your arms really dangling. You're going to take it super slow, carve out your belly as you go. So the front line of your body is kind of supporting the back line as you slowly let yourself roll all the way down. Maybe this time you keep your knees just a little bit straighter. There's still a bit of a bend there. But when you get as low as you can go here, you're just going to spring back and rewind the movement. So be strong in your feet, be steady there. Let that be the grounding force that lifts you back up. All the way back up to standing. Awesome. When you come to standing, we're going to do the same thing now, but on the side. So as we come to the side, I'm going to start leaning over to my left side, or your left side, whatever. And then we'll slowly, with some buoyancy in our knees, we're just going to gently start to drop off to the side. You can bend in your knees, gently start to shift yourself off. My shoulders are pretty stacked here. I'm not slumping forward or back. And it may even help to reach your arm up so you got that little extra weight leaning you over. And once you get there to the end of it, you're just going to pull yourself back up nice and slow. Settle yourself in. I feel like this right now. Let's hit up the other side. Go ahead and slowly bend off to the side. Again, your arm's just gonna hang heavy, head's hanging heavy, knees are bending. When you get there, you can just allow your shoulders to stack. Maybe your arms even reach up. You let everything hang, find that end point, and then return all the way back up. Nice. In the same way that we did the front and sides, we're going to do the back. And that just means that we're going to press into our seat a little bit to press our hips forward. So it's kind of like you're doing like a locust pose or cobra sort of shape with your body. Strong in your legs, open up your collarbones a bit. Arms can even spread out wide, palms forward, thumbs up. Take a big breath right in the front body. Awesome. Soften and relax. Good, good. And now we're just going to come back onto our mats. So find a comfortable seat. And we're just going to invite ourselves into a little child's pose. Now, if you have the myofascial release balls set up, like with the tote and everything, you can put both balls in the tote. If you're using just one ball, that's totally fine. What we're going to do is we're going to set ourselves into a little child's pose. So your knees can be really wide if that's helpful for you to bring your head down towards the floor. Or you can even keep your knees up a little bit or your hips up a little bit and stack your hips a little over your knees, whatever suits you. But we're going to bring our forehead to the balls, okay? So as you set yourself down, if you just have the one ball, start in the center, and you'll just roll a little side to side. Most of us have tension lines around our forehead that we can explore and hang out and breathe into, and invite the weight of our head just to drop into these little pressure points. So again, for me, that's a really awesome spot is right at the ridge of the eyebrows. So I like coming right up to my eyebrows and pressing and releasing my weight of my head into the balls. Otherwise, you might like coming off to the side a little bit, feeling the temple space. Your arms, your shoulders are relaxed. The weight of your body's just kind of nestled towards the floor. Give yourself a moment just to explore this. Take some nice full breaths. And notice if this movement or this little massage invites you any awareness into different muscles or skin tension in your face. We'll just take another couple of breaths here. Shifting, moving. Nice. Let's take one last full breath. Awesome. And then you can slowly start to shift off. Give yourself a moment. You can plant your hands pretty nice and firmly into the ground and just give yourself a couple cat-cows from here. I invite you to really encourage your head and neck to move here. So we're isolating the hips a little bit. So this is likely going to be a little bit more into the upper body, into your shoulders, your head. That may mean that you want to open your arms up wider than usual, than for your normal cat-cows. Just sense what it feels like to shift and move a bit. Awesome. Then we're going to guide ourselves up into our tabletop. Shift your left leg out to the side. So it's about at hip height, or at your knee height, I should say, but it's resting on the floor. And just square yourself off a little bit with your shoulders. You can kind of tilt your tailbone up a little bit so that you feel like you kind of have a cow belly, kind of dropping your belly just slightly. So you can get a little into your inner thigh and groin muscles, and you can reach your seat back and then come back up to stack your hips over your knees. Just take one more moment here, just stretching, giving yourself a chance to settle in. And then we're going to go ahead and take the right arm and we're going to swoop it underneath. So we're taking in a little thread the needle here. And when you drop your head off to the ground, let the weight of your head really find a comfortable position, a comfortable angle for your neck, your jaw, your temple, all that space you were just working on. If you feel like you're too far away from the ground to feel comfortable here, you can either sit a little bit down lower towards your heel, or you can bring a blanket, a pillow, anything underneath your head to offer you a little bit of height here. We're just going to take one more full breath. Awesome. Plant your left hand, guide yourself up. You can bring your knee back in, set yourself up for a little intermission here. So if that means swaying your hips side to side, guiding yourself into a child's pose, take a moment. Awesome. Then we're just going to prepare ourselves for the opposite side. So again, this time we're just taking the left leg out, or right leg out, excuse me. Right leg out long, settle yourself in. Same. We're just going to tuck the toes under and give ourselves a moment to sit back towards the hips. We're coming into that cow back, so I'm tilting my pelvis slightly so I can reach back with my seat, really feel it in the inner thigh here. Give yourself some time just to sense what's going on here in your legs, maybe even in your ankles. We've warmed those up a bit already, but maybe they're feeling a nice stretch too. Take a couple presses back with your seat. Nice full breaths. And when you're ready, level yourself off into your tabletop-like shape here, and we're going to go ahead and swoop the left arm through. Guide yourself down. Again, if you need support underneath your head, if you can't find a comfortable angle with your head, grab yourself some support. Invite your breath deep into this twist here. Settle the weight of your arm, your shoulder, your upper body just down into the ground. Feel that extension still reaching out through your leg. Nice. We'll just take 2 more full breaths. Last big breath. Awesome. And then you can plant your right hand down, guide yourself back up and through. Again, your little intermission to do whatever might feel good for your body in the transition here. And then whenever you're ready, you're just going to grab your blanket. So I have one of those Mexican style blankets. If you have a blanket that's a little bit denser or a towel to use, that's awesome. We're going to set it up in like a bolster-like fashion. So this is, I think, folded 4 times, but you see what I mean. It's about this, so big. We're going to put this right underneath our hips. So to start, just go ahead and bring your hip points towards the bolster or blanket. From here, just see what it feels like to really settle the weight of your belly down towards the blanket. And this may mean that sometimes our knees feel a little weird, or our feet or ankles feel a little weird if we try to bring things too close. So let things angle wherever they need to for your legs. You can just use your hands as a pillow, or if you have an actual pillow you want to use, feel free to do that. We're just going to hang out here for some nice full breaths and guiding our breath specifically in towards the belly. So maybe as you're breathing, you can feel your lower back rising. Your exhales can let it fall, let it drop, release. How full can your belly breaths be? Can you sense there's a big expansive space that your breath can bring into your low back when it's guided. If your head's pointing in one direction and you want to switch the direction of your gaze, this would be a good time to do it. We're about halfway through. Notice if there's any muscles in your legs or your upper body that are still holding on. See if you can really just let it all go. Let it all be soft here. Let's take just 2 more full breaths. Last big breath here. Nice. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly start to just tuck your toes under, give a little action to your legs. Maybe bringing them back together a bit. Your hands can come alongside your ribs. You can just press yourself back into a child's pose if you'd like, or just into tabletop. We're going to take this same blanket formation off to the left side of our mat. So once you've done that, you can settle yourself back down onto your mat, onto your belly. And we're just going to take the left leg off to the blanket. So my inner knee, my calf, and my inner ankle are all resting on the blanket. I'm in a half frog pose here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to settle myself down. I'm going to take nice full breaths into my belly. I'm going to do what I can just to relax my hips, relax my legs, my breath, my shoulders, my jaw. So follow me, just sink in, soften. Let this feel like a little cuddly shape. So use whatever pillows or blankets you need to just invite a bit of softness here. And this shape is hands down one of my favorite shapes, just to really release emotion, just to let emotions, feelings, things that are just kind of echoing through my body, just to let them out. So perhaps that comes out in a big exhale, a big sigh. Perhaps that comes out in a different variety of sounds. Maybe you can just envision that any sort of sticky or unnecessary heavy emotions that you just don't want to be holding on to right now, just might feel a little too heavy. Just imagine that they're just dripping off of your heart, out of your throat, out of your hips, your legs, your face, your hands. Just all of them are just being absorbed by this incredible strength of the earth. Feel that groundedness of the earth underneath you, the support it offers. And sense that if you've released any of that, any offerings you've given to the earth have just given you a little bit more clarity, a little bit more concise awareness as to what you're really feeling, as to where you might really be feeling it.
And if that feels like something you don't even want to dive into right now, then just hang out. Feel your breath. Check in with your body. We'll be here for just a few more rounds of breath. Let your breath be full. Nice. Whenever you feel ready to transition, you can either just roll a little bit onto your right side, set yourself up onto your side for a moment, and just take a big breath. And then just press yourself up. Or you can find whatever creative means you'd like to transition over to the opposite side. So we're just going to bring the blanket over now to the right side, guide ourselves onto our bellies. Once we get there, the inner knee, inner ankle, the entire lower leg is going to be supported by your blanket. So sense that you can find a sweet, soft spot to just rest your leg down on. And the rest of you can just soften as well. Can you bring an element of softness to your face, your eyes, your jaw? And again, maybe you're reintroducing that idea of just releasing everything that you can in towards this grounded earth space beneath you. How does it feel just to sink in? To invite your breath into the spaces that need space, that need a little bit of freedom, a little bit of attention. Where is your head going in this moment of stillness? Can you keep your awareness, your breath, your attention all softly drawn in towards your body, your practice, this time that you're offering yourself? Are there any bits of your hip, your legs, your upper body that are still holding on a little bit? Is there a way you can gently, subtly reposition yourself or guide just a little wave of breath to release that area of your body, to soften just a little bit more fully? Okay, so let's take just a few more full breaths here on this side. Maybe again, guiding your breath into the spaces that need it the most. Being really intentional with your breathing. Last full breath. Nice. And again, if you want to just gently start to shift yourself, rolling over onto your side, then you can do that. Guiding yourself into a nice, comfortable position. When you're ready, pressing yourself up into a nice, cozy seat. And we're just going to get into our last little restorative pose here. So you can set your blanket up, the blanket you were just using, into a little sushi roll. Okay, so you want to have it pretty nice and flat because you're going to be laying your back onto it, so you don't want a ton of little wrinkles in it. So be nitpicky for a second. Give yourself a moment just to kind of curl it in really nice and tight. I say sushi roll because they really rock those sushi rolls pretty nice and tight. So sense that you've got this little packed roll here. Doink. They're kind of like ho-hos, huh? I like that too. We're gonna bring that down the length of our mat. So this is gonna be the support we're using for our spine. You have a couple different options. If you have yoga blocks, you can put one on either side. You may even want to put yoga blocks and pillows on either side, or a blanket if you have extra cushion. Because what we're going to do is set ourselves up for a kind of open-chested Baddha Konasana. So the soles of the feet together, knees supported by something, whether that be pillows, blocks, and or something else. If you have an extra blanket to set on top of yourself, I encourage you to give your body a little bit of weight on top of your body here. So what I'm going to do is actually invite maybe a pillow underneath my head as well, just for that extra cushion, or an extra blanket under my head. So you may want that additional cushion here. If you do want that, you can set that up here at the end of your blanket roll. What we're going to do is invite a little bit of space between your hips and the blanket. Set your props up on either side, blanket nearby. And we're just going to gently start to lower ourselves down. So the blanket should be kind of rising our spine up, so our shoulder blades and everything else, all the meat of our body can just kind of flail off to the side. Now for me, the height of the blanket, or the distance of the blanket, is nearly perfect. So I really don't need much of a cushion right here, but I might just tuck the blanket around my head a little bit, just so I feel nice and supported in my head, nice and steady. And again, you can bring the soles of your feet together, open your knees up, and maybe you're just using yoga blocks to prop yourself up here. Maybe you're inviting instead your pillows to kind of tuck in, snuggle up next to you, offer you that extra support. So wherever you land, just make sure you're in a nice, comfortable position. Again, if any of these options feel like too much, like the blanket underneath you or your legs being open like this, just customize it to make your body happy, because that's what this is all about. So set yourself up. Maybe you drop a blanket somewhere on your hips, your feet. Being that we have this awesome opportunity to open up our chest space, our collarbones, I invite you to open your arms up into either cactus shape or like a T shape, Shavasana-like shape with your palms up. Just so you can really breathe into that space at the sternum, deep into the collarbones, at least a few times, just to settle yourself in. Sometimes for me, this is a really awesome time to use that tapping right along any spots that feel like they could use a little bit more awareness for my breath. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you feel like your breath is feeling a little restricted somewhere along this line of your upper body, just bring your taps there. Maybe just bring a resting hand there and invite your breath into that space. Whatever feels more appropriate or more receptive to your body. And then we're just going to do what we can to release, just to relax and soften. And these practices of really listening to our body can feel sometimes counterproductive if you're trying to kind of erase thoughts out of your mind. So don't have that be your intention right now. Don't try to clear your mind and relieve yourself of all thoughts. Instead, just kind of notice the thoughts that are running through your mind. Notice if they're about your body and your practice and your breath. If they're about seemingly important things. If your mind is on today, tomorrow, yesterday. Maybe your mind's still on that feeling or sensation. One of the layers we've been working with today in practice. Whatever your mind confronts or says hello to, just let it be that. Let it be a little introduction, a little Cliff's Notes version. Nothing you have to attach yourself to or attach your mind to, or a storyline. But instead something you can just let kind of float off and away. The moment you see it, it just kind of flies away like a little feather in the wind. As the next one comes, the same happens. You just kind of recognize it. And again, just tethering yourself to this moment, this breath, this practice. As there's some space between your teeth so your jaw can be soft. You're letting your ears just melt down towards the ground. Your eyes can just be heavy in the sockets. Let's invite just a few more nice full breaths here in this shape. Sensing that each inhale can kind of wash out any sort of debris, any residue. And after this next exhale, just go ahead and devise a sweet little plan to get yourself into a nice quick Shavasana. Again, you can maybe just remove the blanket out from underneath your spine. Maybe you're using the pillows just underneath your knees. Blanket under your head, or whatever suits you. We're not going to be here for very long, just enough to feel our body extended out in this nice neutral form. And from here, how does your shape feel? How is the breath entering your body? Start to really sense the weight of your body and how gravity has a little hold of it right now. As gravity pulls, just give yourself one more full breath. Feeling the freedom of your breath. You can go ahead and slowly trace your attention down your limbs to your fingers and your toes. Create little soft movements there. Maybe making little circles with your wrists and your ankles. And then whenever you're ready, just gently bending one leg and then the other, and rolling yourself onto your side. Taking a moment in the side lying position just to kind of snuggle up to all this softness you've created. Simmer with it for a moment. And then whenever you feel ready, just gently pressing yourself up into a comfortable seat. Once you get there, your eyes can stay closed or nice soft gaze. And just fiddle with your position here until you find that restful seat. Once you get there, just bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. And return to that sensation of your breath being right underneath your hands. This incredible tool we have of calming ourselves, cleansing ourselves, feeling more deeply. This tool of our breath, our attention, of our incredible bodies and powerful minds. Thank you so much for joining in practice tonight. May the rest of your evening unfold with ease. Namaste. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.